Um, Today's either July 30th or July 31st, 2020. And this shocked me. California is reporting its first teen death from COVID, from coronavirus. I mean, with the way the news has been reporting about coronavirus and all the deaths, to find out this is the first death of a teenager in California, in a way, I'm saddened, but this is like 5 months in. So this constant claim that every age group was equally susceptible, it's getting very confusing. I don't know what to make of this. I bet if you asked 100 people how many teens had died from coronavirus already, they would all say at least 1,000 or 2,000, maybe 10,000. It's the first death of a teen. So that's so confusing to me, I don't understand it.
And we've learned today California had its first COVID-related death of a teenager. Health officials aren't allowed to give much information about the person, but they did say the teen lived in Central California and had underlying health conditions. An insider at the California EDD is speaking out to CBS 2 tonight about how big the mess is there. 1 million people are still waiting to hear if their claims will be paid for months. Look.
So, while everybody's been attacking Trump on a national level, the media, I think the governors have had their own problems. Newsom may have let thousands of seniors die from COVID-19 by forcing seniors who had COVID-19 into nursing homes and mixed with seniors who did not have COVID-19. And then quarantining all the seniors in that nursing home so that they couldn't leave, their relatives couldn't visit them. I mean, that's really catastrophic, and that's been kind of pushed to the side, okay? Now we find out that the unemployment situation, how they monitor and how they process all the claims, that's been a disaster. So the idea is this isn't the time to be attacking each other. It's not a time to attack Trump. It's not a time to attack Newsom. Just pointing out that while the governors and the media will come up with reasons to attack Trump, they're doing their own stuff that's really bad. This is bad. This whole thing. I'll play this now.
Laura Stewart, who spent 8 weeks in training to work at the EDD call center, says she quit out of frustration. She is one of thousands the state is trying to train in order to process an avalanche of claims. Stewart talked about how frustrating and impossible it was to help people with the bad training she received.
They had told us, oh, you will be assigned a mentor right away. You won't be just thrown in to do this stuff. But they actually one day did tell us, okay, log into the system and start processing claims just with what training you've had. And it was a no-go for most of us, I believe, because it's like the minute we ran into a little glitch, there was nobody there to sort of guide us through, okay, now what do we do? So the stock answer was, oh, well, just reject the claim and go on to another one, and the rejected claims will be in the system for somebody to pick up.
Governor Newsom is facing growing criticism for the state's handling of the crisis. He has said for months fixing EDD is one of his top priorities.
This is kind of what killed my mother because of the behavior of an ER in 2018 in March here at West Hills ER. Not only did the ER nurse assigned to my mother refuse to document my mother's decline, which is a clear violation of the law called EMTALA, which is EMTALA. She may have broken up to 14 other laws, but nobody would investigate. I called the police, the FBI, local political offices. I called her doctor. I talked to everybody, and nobody came forward. And the police was the weirdest one. I had one call with an officer for over half an hour, and she said, "Well, we have 18 officers who handle financial crimes. We don't have the knowledge or the resources to deal with this kind of situation." Which to me, I think was a total lie. I think she lied to my face, because you do have police officers who specifically handle assault. She was telling me they don't have anybody to investigate. And I believe we were so unprepared this year because of this type of policy, this anti-senior policy, protecting seniors when their rights are violated in a medical situation, in a medical institution, allowed for a false sense of security going forward, because we had an epidemic in 2018 and it was covered up by the CDC. They did not release senior death numbers to the flu, and they readjusted the deaths downward, even though they knew the coroners were not reporting the flu and pneumonia. They were reporting these deaths as natural causes, heart failure, respiratory failure. So, and as additional proof, did you know the number of people who died in the United States month by month?
They say about 260 cases are now tied to kids and staff who attended a camp in North Georgia last month. Only camp staff were required to wear face coverings, not the kids. The CDC says campers engaged in daily vigorous singing and cheering, which might have contributed to transmission.
Okay, that just started on its own because my hour of DVR time has expired. But this was another story that was interesting because nobody wants to test anything. They just want to come up with their rules and then make everyone follow. So this group, they tried to have a camp and it didn't work. But we all learned from that experience. So that wasn't so bad. I mean, it was bad, but I mean, at least we learned from it. So anyway, getting back to what I was saying about the seniors, if we had taken serious, what I was saying was in 2018, more people died month after month. The number of deaths increased all 12 months. And to me, yes, there's a population increase going on that partially explains it, but to have 12 straight months of increasing deaths, I'm going to be researching this. It's hard to find research on this stuff. It's almost like they don't want to reveal this number because people might realize there was an epidemic in 2018 in the United States. But if you have more and more people dying month after month in 2018, it might have been because we had such a terrible flu that year. And it's been covered up. The deaths among seniors originally was reported at 80,000. It got reduced down to 60,000. And I think they've totally misled the numbers. I think it may have been double. And that's something that, because we learned how to camouflage and falsify the deaths to seniors by flu and pneumonia, no research was done on it. And that's what you should be asking. Why haven't we been doing more research for flu and pneumonia for the last 30 years, besides the vaccine, how to treat it, how to find it earlier? Really doing more than just letting nature take its course, which is what they've been doing for seniors for years. That's the smoking gun here. And I hope one day somebody will admit to it from the medical community, that they basically set up a system that allowed seniors to die from flu and pneumonia because they considered it acceptable losses. And because of that lethargy, we now got caught in a situation where we were unready in 2020 for the coronavirus. Because we didn't have, if we had taken seriously, there were no masks being worn in 2018. I have video, I gotta find it, of a broadcaster laughing about how we're all coughing on each other and getting each other sick while 100,000 seniors were dying. Do you see how awful that was? I tried to protect my mother so many times that everyone was against me in 2018. I did so many things to try to keep her safe. They forced us to work physical. And that's where she, I think, got sick and ended up dying from that. And it's just a whole nightmare for me. I have PTSD from it, but that's another story. The bottom line in all of this is going to be, we need to just not politicize this stuff anymore and start asking questions about the medical community that need to be asked, that have not been asked for the last 30 years, regarding why is the majority of their funding going toward drug care and vaccine care, and none of it is going to just studying existing sicknesses and how they could have improved treatment. A vaccine is not improving treatment for somebody who gets flu and pneumonia. It's a Band-Aid. And it's a Band-Aid that makes the medical community and Big Pharma a lot of money. And they chose that You know, nobody wore a mask when they got my mom sick when we went for a physical. They weren't wearing masks in the middle of an epidemic in 2018. Not only that, her doctor said to me, well, why weren't you guys wearing masks? He was actually trying to blame us for getting sick because we didn't wear masks when they were the ones who were sick. That's how nuts it was 2 years ago.